before we dive into the deeper stuff, Shannon asked me, or she was giving me a hard time, do you listen to anything while you train? Let's go around the room and ask people. I know Quaylen does because I see her training videos all the time, but Adam, do you listen to anything while you train?
The camera fell.
We've killed him. Do you listen to anything whilst you train?
Just music more than anything.
Music. Any particular playlists?
Just my own mainly. Here's a big question for you though. What's your hype song?
Don't need one.
Nickelback, Burn It to the Ground.
Solid.
I like something AC/DC, but even then, like I don't really listen to music whilst I train full stop. Like I go in silence or just listen to the moaning.
He's just raw dog in the gym.
I've said it, look, I've done years and years of PT and listening to music in the background, and I get very little time these days of not having to listen to somebody or something. So it's my very little time that I get that I actually don't need to listen to anything. So I just say chill out, but I just enjoy whatever shite's on in the music in the gym. Sorry.
What
Quaylen,
your thoughts?
what do you listen to whilst you train?
Mondays and Tuesdays is a podcast, and then the rest of the week is music.
I don't know if I could deal with listening to a podcast whilst I train.
They're just piss takey podcasts. There's nothing heavy in them.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think I'm probably too easily distractible for that. Like I'd probably be getting too much into the crack and taking like 5 minutes rest time between each of my sets. AJ, what's your preference? None.
Don't listen to anything.
None.
You're just raw dogging as well.
Yeah, like if the music even in the gym is too loud for me. If I'm lifting heavy, I find it very distracting. I would prefer to train in silence if I could.
Yeah, but if you're wearing like noise cancellation headphones or whatever it is that you've got going on, like it blocks absolutely everything out, and you can concentrate.
Yeah, but then I'm still listening to something on my headphones. I don't want to listen to anything.
But are you only listening to it on your break, like on your rest?
No interest. It's not for me. I just don't like it. Never have. The only exception would be if I'm on like doing the Stairmaster or running or something. I'll stick either a film on if it's a long one or a TV show. But outside of that, no, I wouldn't be listening to music rather in the gym.
Yeah, I feel
So I was
like
going to say, if you're a raw dog in the gym, I would hate to go running with yous where it's just you're breathing. Like, no, give me something.
I've ran half marathons with nothing on. I'll be honest, the marathon I definitely had podcasts on. Ironically, I was listening to Celtic podcasts going through Belfast in certain areas, which was funny. I was like, if I ever get exposed for this, I'm going to have to run faster. I feel that if anybody's watching this back, which actually had a good bit of feedback, there's a lot of people watching this back. Stick in the group chat what your like ultimate hype song is and any decent playlist that you have, playlist or podcast for that matter. Probably good.
You have my playlist.
To be fair, actually, yeah, when I used to have RPE, your playlist went on quite a lot. I was on repeat, so yeah, it is a decent playlist. I might stick that. Do you know what? I'll let you stick that into the group, Quaylen.
No problem.
Do, because I need a new playlist.
It's very weird. It is very weird because you could have dance music 1 second and then 2 seconds later you have Rage Against the Machine. Or as Kyle likes to say, the next one has to be Gary Glitter. Because that one caught him off guard.
I enjoyed that. Well, I was about to say I enjoyed Gary Glitter, but that's probably the wrong words to say. Knowing what we know now. Right, look, we'll jump straight into it. Gym anxiety. I say we'll jump straight into it. I've got no notes in front of me, so I'm going to pick them back up. Gym anxiety. Raise your hands, just round the room. Raise your hand if you experienced gym anxiety before. Cool. Quaylen's not because she's.
All right, Quaylen, you're cool, dude.
No, I've gotten to that. Like, I think when I walked into the gym, even the first time, I just said, fuck this, you're not stopping me from what I want to do. So I just took a different route to everybody else. I think it was just determination and pissed offness.
was going to say it's good fuel to get you going in there. And actually, that's one of the points I had down. I think is realizing the outcome that you want, and being super clear about that. I think coaching lots of people, that the people who can literally walk through walls to get what they want are the people who are very clear about what they want, and it's usually understanding what they have to do at times is going to suck, but it's going to be having a good understanding of like what they're going to do is actually going to get them there, and they just need to, don't want to say suck up for a better word, because that's actually not what this conversation is about, but it's more so the fact that like having a very strong idea of what you want at the end can very much make the steps before that a lot easier. Shannon and I were having a discussion before we started recording this about, actually, we've had clients who've gone to gym, particularly new clients who have gone in and have not lasted very long in there. They've went in and your typical, like, particularly female going into gym, that can be male orientated depending on what gym you go to, and that can be intimidating by itself. You go when it's busy, it's intimidating. You don't know what you're doing. Imagine yourself the first time you went to a gym. You probably, lack of confidence does things to people, and you're not really going to have like the clarity about what you're actually needing to do. So Shannon, you've experienced a bit of gym anxiety yourself before. Like, what's that felt like, and give us experiences for yourself, what that's been like.
Oh yeah, like I would still get it from time to time now, and I'm going to my gym since it opened, and that's about 6 years ago. It's overwhelming sometimes. Like I could go into my gym and I walk in as if I own the place, like I'll have no bother to me. And then there's other days where I've walked in and it's usually when it is a bit busier. It tends to be, from my own perspective, a bit more male dominant, and I'm coming down to the weight section. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm the only girl in this section. And then I'm like, right, calm down. And sometimes I actually do have to bring myself into the bathroom to try and calm myself down because I'm sweating. Like I'm shitting the brick, even though I know what I'm meant to be doing in the gym. And I kind of have to calm myself down, go on out there, and I'm like, I hope I do this right. Like, and I start doubting my abilities to do squats, bench, and deadlift, things I've been doing for years, because I just feel so uncomfortable with it. But that is a me thing, and it's not just, well, I say it's a me thing, but like I know there is a lot of girls that do suffer with that when it comes to the weight section, because it does tend to be more male dominant, and you're afraid of making an idiot of yourself.
I remember doing,
but we've all made an idiot of ourselves. I broke my finger in the gym.
I remember that where you had like 3 fingers on one hand because 3 of them were sellotaped to one, wasn't it? I remember actually being in college. Well, this might have been well over 10 years ago anyway, but I remember being in college and they were actually doing it this time, why men go to free weights and why women do cardio. I'm like, that was only just over 10 years ago that conversation was happening. So, I mean, we have moved a lot since then, but like you're still, I'll not drop their names into the conversation, but people recently have told me, like females that are in the group, the men have come up to them and said, you shouldn't be lifting that, or like you should be doing something lighter. I just think that's madness that actually goes on. Like I've not heard it myself from my perspective, but understand that I can't be oblivious to the fact that does happen at times. Just from a male perspective, obviously Adam and AJ, you both raised your hand to say that you've experienced it at times. So Adam, if you are free to talk, because I know that you're currently cooking, let us know about your experiences.
I would say probably like it was before I started with yourself. Just years ago, like going into the gym, not really knowing what to do, and then you're kind of looking at other people saying, right, maybe I can do that, and then you try to do it as well, and in your head you're probably thinking, I'm not doing this the way I should be doing. And it was just little things like you pick up, and then like it's that little thing as well that people are looking at you. That was one of the big things for me as well. But I just got that out of my head over time, and everyone's in there to do the exact same thing as what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. AJ.
Yeah, it was like that when I started, before I knew what I was at. Like, obviously going in as a heavier person, it was intimidating. Like, everyone going to be looking at me. It's sort of like, I call it gym spotlight syndrome, where you think like the second you walk in the door, absolutely everyone's going to stare at you because of what you look like or whatever. So it was just getting past that initial, it was maybe a couple of weeks, and I sort of realized no one's actually looking at me. They're more concerned about looking at themselves in the mirror than me. But yeah, it was definitely when I first started going, before I knew what I was at, before I had a plan, where I was just going in and winging it, all that sort of stuff.
Okay. I'm going to ask a question. I didn't actually have this question down, but what makes you feel confident in the gym?
Having a plan, knowing what I'm going in to do, knowing where I'm heading, knowing what I'm doing it for. Like having a clear goal, whether that's a 3-month goal, a 2-week goal, whatever it might be, that takes half the battle away, because you're not going in trying to think up what you're at. You're going in, I'm here to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. You're more concerned about, fuck, is he still on that machine, rather than, fuck, is he looking at me?
Yeah, class. I would rather use this time to get your experiences rather than me just talking. So, Quaylon, what would make you feel comfortable or confident in the gym? What makes you feel confident in the gym then? I think you're on mute.
Yeah, just what AJ had said, having the plan and knowing you need to go to here, and then you need to go to this place to grab that bit, and then come back and then do whatever you need to do. It's having kind of a clear cut guide as to where you're going to go. Like, albeit nobody's watching you, nobody cares. So you can go and do what you want to do. You could do a freaking jig in the corner and get away with it, like.
You really can.
That there are people who do. And to be fair, you will give them a funny look for a second, because it's different, and you're like, what is that person doing? But every single one of us, I've never seen anybody get hassle for it. Like, it's usually you go, what the fuck are they doing? But then you look at them once, and then you're like, you forget about it, and you're like, right, that's whatever they're doing, leave them to it. It's just you don't see it in your normal day-to-day life, but everybody in the gym is there for their own purpose, and usually you're concentrating on yourself rather than anybody else, so nobody else notices. Adam, is there anything that you would add to that in terms of making you feel confident in the gym?
Pretty much what AJ said as well, just walking in, knowing what you're doing. And then I think it's a gradual thing, that it takes time. It's not going to be done in 1 week or anything like that, but it was the case for me where it took a little bit of time, and just knowing what to be actually doing, and then confidence in what you're doing as well.
Yep, pass. Shannon?
Yeah, like literally rinse and repeat, and having a plan going in. And like, this is going to be the most gimpiest, girliest thing to say, but having a really nice outfit on, I feel
You took the
way
words
better
out of my mouth.
when
I was
go
waiting
the
for you to
gym
say that.
And I've got the set on, and there's a girl that I follow, I can't even think of her name, but she says, you look good, you lift good. And I stand by what she says. It must be a girl thing, because you feel way better if you have a nice outfit on. And it's for no one else. It's literally for you. You're like, oh, I look good.
I don't, as much as I 100% agree, I don't think that's mutually exclusive to females, in the sense that, like, I don't think it matters to, and then if I'm wearing something that I don't feel like great in, I'd be like, it does have an impact on my session or how I feel. I'm like, I don't really feel overly great in this, so it does have an impact what you're wearing. Sure, before we started recording, when AJ joined, I said that his delts were looking good. But I think that's because he's wearing something that he likes, and he's also put coconut oil on his arms as well before he started that with some great lighting. But it is important to go in. Who was a runner? I don't know if any of you still know. There was a runner who used to put on a full face of makeup before she started running, and someone like pulled her up on it and was like, "Oh, why do you do that?" And she's like, "I perform better when I feel better." So like literally just that. It takes the anxiety, it takes everything away for her. It's like she again puts on that performance, which actually again wasn't going to touch on this, but there is a what you call an alter ego effect. Like I think it's Beyonce has Sasha Grey as well. She has the two different characters where when she's on stage she becomes Sasha Grey. Could be butchering that.
Sasha Fierce.
Sasha Fierce,
Sasha
whatever.
Fierce.
No, whatever.
Actually great.
Beyonce fans.
He works in Tesco, Kyle.
I think she's actually a porn star, if I'm being honest. Well, you can't tell me why I know one of them and not the other, but I'm not embarrassed. My face my face isn't going red. But what was I going to say? I think with that, it's important sometimes to actually kind of as Quillan said, when she goes into the gym, she's confident because she knows what she wants and what she needs to do. If you don't feel like that yet, I think sometimes actually just going in and faking it a little bit till you make it, and actually just disassociating yourself from yourself and just going, the person I want to be is the person that does this, and actually just being that person. Like, I'll be honest, like as much as I try and be like Kyle, Biofitness, a lot of the time when I'm putting my coaching cap on, it's a slightly different entity. I've got a wee jig I do with like all of your check-ins. You'll probably notice I go like, "Hi, thanks for getting your check-in across." I start with the same little jig for all of you because it gets me in coaching mode. And that's me putting that little hat on. It's the same if you have like routines and things that you can do for the gym, where it's an outfit that you wear that you feel that's your gym outfit and that's gym version of you going in, or whether that's you. I think a lot of time, like the somatic effect, so what the effects of like your heart rate going up higher and feeling that people are watching you and feeling in a sense of danger, like that happens because you're doing something that you're not comfortable with. But I would say a lot of time, like if you go to an airport or you do something that's out your normal, like that would happen as well, but the expectation's slightly different. So I think actually just going in with a plan and understanding that those feelings are kind of normal to go in, and maybe not overthinking it and not being so observant of yourself can be helpful, but also to make you comfortable. Shannon, what would make you comfortable if you were straight into a gym and you wanted to settle down a wee bit? What would you do?
Well, I would jump on a treadmill, even though I bloody hate the fucking things. But if it's a gym, if it's say I'm going to train with Adam and it's my first time ever going to Adam's gym and I don't know where anything is, I'll hop on that treadmill and I'll suss out the gym and I'll be looking at my program while I'm on the treadmill and I'll be like, right, squat, racks, right, they're over this way here, right, I know where they are. And I'll start mapping out where exactly I need to be on that floor so that I still have my plan and I'm able to go from one machine. And then sometimes I might even get myself a little backup plan. So say the lat machine, I'm looking at that, there's one of them and there's a bunch of fucking 16-year-olds dictating that thing. But like, right, what can I use instead of a lat machine in this gym? And that just kind of settles me down because I know exactly the road I need to take almost within the gym floor to get from A to B.
Yeah. I think for a lot of people going to the gym, like I'm taking myself back. Like I'm the same as Quail on a lot, like a little bit, and I'm not gonna lie about it. Like I've never really had the gym anxiety where it's been like I can't do this. And to give you an example of what I've seen it at its worst is when I used to work in the Hilton, it was a very small gym, but I seen somebody come down that you deal with again hundreds of people constantly, but seeing somebody come down and they were just standing outside. It was a glass gym you could look into, whatever. And they just kept on reading the health and safety thing. But I mean, they were there for, I shit you not, there was a half-hour period. They kept on pacing up and down and reading this health and safety thing. And I was like, there's only so many times you can read a health and safety thing. So I went over to him and I said, I was like, there's a woman, there was like, hi, how you doing? You get on okay? And she's like, I'm just petrified to go in there. And she was just trying to build up the courage just to walk through the door. I think there was only about 3 people in the gym at the time. But with that, it was just getting exposed to going in, putting a hand on the shoulder and showing it was okay to go on just a treadmill. And I think all she did was a treadmill, a set of dumbbell presses, and then left. But she was back the next day. And what took her 30 minutes the first time took her 2 minutes to go in. She was just pretty much walked straight in, said hi, straight in. So I think a lot of time it's got to be uncomfortable, but just actually when you get in there, just actually move a little bit. The expectation isn't for you to go in and do 400 exercises. You can start to build up this, like where you feel that you have to be versus where you are right now. And that gap seems to become bigger in your head. Whereas just go in, literally get a bit of moving done. Going in with a plan, as every single person on the call has said, like, be massive. But like, I think actually just going in and movement can change your mindset. Like all of us on the call, like who's had a session where they didn't really want to go and do, and then they put it off, or like they dragged themselves to the gym, and you've already got the hand up. I'm not even finished the question, Shannon, but it's like you start moving,
Staying up.
and then you feel significantly better for it. Like, has anyone else had a session like that? I've certainly had sessions like that. I think a lot of time it is actually just getting small wins, and that's all it is. Small wins, getting in there and getting exposed to it. Okay, so
Going with a friend as well is also a good tip, especially if you're brand new to the gym, because you will be less likely to be as scared if there's two of you kind of doing it together.
yep, Yeah. Going with my friend, massive. I think if you can get in a regular routine of doing that class, I think also going to classes can be helpful as well. Just actually getting exposure to going to classes, going into the gym, getting used to the people, the receptionist, going through the doors, it starts to become like your brain's always trying to process decisions. And it's like if you're making a decision to first go through the door, having to scan in, having to look at the layout of the gym, everything like that, that becomes taxing. Whereas the more you get used to these small things, the less taxing it becomes time after time after time. So yeah, there's a lot to be said in that in terms of classes. Inductions, like go to a gym that has an induction. I'm going to ask a question actually. Shannon, you ever had a gym induction?
I got a tour of a gym before, if that counts.
Sure. AJ, you had a gym induction before?
Yeah, I've had one place did it with me. Brought you around, showed you how to use the treadmill, how to use the common machines that like people would use.
Okay, can I ask you your obviously the what I say obviously this is not obvious, so I'm going to say it. You're a fitness coach. You've been coaching for years. You've got a wealth of experience.
Yeah.
So I think you'd be in a position where you could actually answer the question fairly decently. But what are the pros and cons, in your opinion, to that gym induction that you got?
So the pros is it takes a hell of a lot of the thinking out of it. It sort of gives you the lay of the land, which is the hardest part when you're going into a gym, particularly if you're not familiar with them. It gets you a start. It makes you chat to someone going in the door. It's not just a nameless face saying hello to you. It's hello, my name is so, this is blah blah blah. And, it sort of creates a personal connection to the facility. The negatives are there wouldn't be very many. I do think it's a very positive thing. I do think, particularly gym staff making you feel comfortable is a massive thing. There'll be gyms where you go in and people wouldn't even look at you when you walk in the door. Then there's gyms where everybody says hello to you. And those ones that always say hello to you, for me at first always make me feel a little bit more at ease, particularly if it's a new spot. The only sort of drawbacks to it, in my opinion, would be the ones that I done. There was a lot of emphasis on the cardio stuff and the safety nets, because obviously, look, it's not a personal training session, so they're not going to be taking you through how to do this or the best thing for that. So that would be the cons, in my opinion. Would just be it's not very personal. It's going to be generic. It's not going to be tailored to what you're going to do. And someone who doesn't have experience in the gym, it could sort of taint what their plans for the future would be. They might think, oh, I go in and I do cardio, it'll be grand.
Yeah, I did agree with all that. I think every pro that you said there's exactly why everybody probably should do a gym induction. I've worked for gyms where they won't actually let you do any session before doing a gym induction. The cons to that is you had some experienced people coming in who the last thing they wanted to do was a fucking gym induction, which is fair enough. But with that, gym induction can be massive in terms of like just showing you how to take it. The scariest thing for any of us going in is not the unknown. It's not knowing what to do. The only time I have genuinely, and I raised my hand at the start because I have experienced gym anxiety. I just haven't experienced it to the level that some people experience it. I can completely empathize in different areas of my life as to what anxiety does feel like. But I think with the gym, the times I've mostly felt what would be close to anxiety are I've walked into some very niche gyms where it's been either CrossFit or whether it's been powerlifting or whether it's been like even bodybuilding, hardcore bodybuilding gyms, and you can tell straight away there's a certain type of people, and I very much didn't fit into any of those categories at times. And it's like with CrossFit, I wasn't comfortable with any of the movements, in the sense that like the anxiety was unknown of having to go in and perform a clean or a snatch in front of people and realize exposed how bad I was at it. Powerlifting, again, exposing how bad I was at it at the time compared to others. I couldn't squat to any sort of a depth. I was like getting exposed for that at the time. And then bodybuilding, it's like when you're 18 years old and just try to get into it and you're seeing all these guys not understanding at the time they're probably in a copious amount of gear. But you feel like just so far away from where they are. It does feel, and I think that's what it is. It's like a lot of people can go into a normal gym and feel like that. They can feel so far away from where other people are. So in terms of gym choices, you've all been part of multiple gyms. Would that be fair to say? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a few things you can do when it comes to like reducing anxiety for yourself. I'd say when it comes to commercial gyms, most commercial gyms are going to have like peak times. Probably find out what the peak times are. So the worst time, if you're feeling in any way anxious about people watching you and feeling that you don't know what to do on the gym, you're seeing all these busy people who look like they know what they're doing. The worst time to go would be peak times. Would that be fair to say? Would anybody disagree with that?
100%.
Yeah. Okay, again, I'm going to ask, we've all been to the gym. I'd say we've all been to the gym, days off. Quailin, you've been to the gym on a day off in the middle of the day. It's a very different experience at going at peak time in the morning. Would that be fair to say?
That's massive difference. Like as soon as it hits like 8:30, the place just empties. And between 8:30 and like, because I double checked with the trainers that are there in the gym, they were saying, you know, as soon as school time hits, you're talking 8:30 to at least 11:30. It's pretty much empty. It's massive in comparison. It's so weird.
The difference in like what I feel my session is like doing it at that time is monumental. Now I know not everybody has the luxury. Fuck, I do my own rota and I don't have the luxury of going to the gym at that time. But just there are times in the day that you can go that is a little bit quieter. I would say most gyms, if it closes at 10 o'clock at night, usually it's like 8:30 at night also is a lot quieter than it would be. Peak times typically are 5 till 7 in the evening time, and then usually 6 till about 8 in the morning. 8:15 tends to be the kind of time where people start filtering themselves out. If you go at those times, most gyms categorically you're going to find that it's going to be busier. And with that, the friction becomes, and even if you do have a plan, I can't like my issue. I'm just Scottish if I'm not moaning about something that I'm not doing my job properly. But like it's like when I go to any gym, I just feel that it's either not got the right amount of equipment, that's too busy. It's like it's very difficult when you go in with a plan and you're like, I'm meant to be doing the other day. I have shoulder presses scheduled. I think it was barbell shoulder presses. Every single barbell was being used. So I looked in for a dumbbell. Every single bench was being used. I went to go to the machine. The machine was broken. I went to go to the plate loaded machine. The plate loaded machine was being used. So with that, it's like I know all the variations and there's not a variation that I can do. So with that, I think if you are suffering bad gym anxiety, that will get better over time the more you expose yourself to it, but try and make it easier for yourself. I would say the lesser of two evils is going at a time. It might not be convenient for you to start off with, but if you can go later at night when it's quieter, go later at night when it's quieter. If you have a day off during the week, just start off going their day off during the week and go at a quieter time. Like you'll notice a massive difference in being able to. And then when it starts to get busier, you don't get overwhelmed by the people there. It's more just getting overwhelmed by the fact that you can't get on a fucking machine. Does anybody have anything? I do have another few wee things to talk about in terms of gym anxiety. Does anybody else have anything to add that we've not touched on yet in terms of like anxiety, gyms, how to manage that? Anything else?
Yeah, one that I use with my lot if they have gym anxiety, some of them have had it bad when they've started. If like, well, obviously, look, I would suggest the same thing as you go off peak, blah blah. If off peak isn't an option, go in and use a treadmill for your session and make that your session. Just expose yourself to the environment, get the lay of the land. The next day, maybe go in and do a treadmill for 10 minutes and then do 1 or 2 of what you're supposed to do on the machines. It's exposure therapy is what it's called. The more you expose yourself to something, the less of an effect it will have on you. Same is true for anything. So the more caffeine you have, the less effect it has. The more alcohol you have, the less effect it has. But it's another way of doing it. If you just keep exposing yourself to it during those peak times, if that's your only option, it will get easier and you will be able to eventually just go in and do your session.
I think finding your own space as well can help, because I know you probably know, Kyle, that I go to a specific rack and it's a bench right beside the specific rack that I'm going to. And it's always down the back end of the gym. And I know my niece actually goes to the exact same one when she's there. It's just to make life a little bit easier, and then you're in your own space and you don't have to worry about anything else. So it's kind of giving yourself that little space. So I think the first time you go in, yeah, you might have a bit of anxiety, but if you find that, okay, next time I'm gonna go over there and it's gonna be that specific spot, you should be fine then after that. It kind of makes life a little bit easier. You can branch out from there.
Love that. I think there's actually, you can flirt with different gyms as well without actually having to commit to it. You can look at going round and seeing what actually best suits you, because I'd love to say that all gyms are created equally, and again, I'm not going to name them for anybody who's local, but there are certain gyms that I'll just be like, I'll not go to that because, and I've tried it, it's just, there is a certain group of people that will go and that'll just, again, it becomes problematic for, I want to go to the gym for as frictionless an experience as I can. And sometimes, like, there will be a cost involved, a higher cost. Don't always just go to the cheapest gym that you can find and hope for the best, because it usually will attract with that more people. There'll be less regulations, there'll be less inductions. Look out for the things like, do they offer inductions? Do they have personal trainers? Do they have fitness instructors? Like, what does the gym look like at peak time? What does it look like when non-peak times? Like, what classes do they offer? Do they offer classes? Like, if you look at all those things, you'll probably get a good idea of the type of clientele that they have and what type of gym it is. But again, most gyms, even if they don't offer day passes, you can phone them up. Having worked in gyms for many a time, you can phone them up and just say, look, I was thinking about joining. Very worst, they won't let you use the gym, but they'll take you around on a tour and explain everything to you, and you can do that probably once at peak time, and then maybe phone them, go, or even speak to them, go, can I come back when it's a little bit quieter? Can I come back and see what it's like? It's busier. Any decent gym will very much welcome you to do that. A better gym, I say a better gym, just ask for if you can try it out once. I don't see any issue with that for most places. That makes sense. Everybody kind of, does anybody
Yeah, 100%.
that?
I don't think I've ever come across a gym that doesn't offer a day pass now, at least.
Yeah.
A lot of them would offer a free trial. Like there's some gyms that would do a 3-day free trial, and there are 3 days on the trot, but they'll give you 3 days to get in and use the gym.
Yeah. I think on that as well, even if you're part of a gym right now, there's nothing to say that you can't look at another gym. Like, if you're part of a gym right now and want to see what else is out there and you've not been to another gym, like, I'm not saying you have to go gym hopping all the time. Again, being from the town that we are, like, I've gone through the process of hopping gym, and sometimes you find the same people are hopping around with you and you just end up in this big circle of hopping gyms all the time. But there's actually nothing wrong with just seeing what's best for you, so constantly be on the lookout for that. I also kind of want to bring it to the point of, I know we've talked a lot about the gym and gym anxiety itself, but probably the question I would ask in the first place is, like, Quilon brought up that she didn't really suffer anxiety because she knew exactly what she had to do to get to where she wanted to be. But the question is, are we completely sure that going to the gym in the first place is something you actually want to do to get you to where you want to be, or is it just something you feel that you need to do? Asking that question to start off with might be a better question before you start to look at going to the gym, because I feel a lot of the time, I've generally had clients in the past who've been that fixated in the gym and not been able to go, where they've built an expectation in their head of having to go to the gym. They're doing absolutely everything right. They've lost the weight that they're wanting to lose, and they're feeling the best they've ever felt, but they've got so hung up on the gym, they've actually ended up, like, leaving the service because they're like, I can't get myself to the gym. And it's like, I think you've got so fixated on one of the small features that you've built up in your head that you have to do, but you don't actually have to do that. Like, people got in shape before gyms were there. It's a tool. I think with that, it's a great tool, and I don't want to downplay it. Like, sure, I've built a career out of working in the gym to start off with, but with that, like, it's not something that you actually have to do. And I've always been that, even when I was working in gyms. Like, people used to say to me, "What, train 4 times a week?" I'm like, no, you can train twice a week, and you can use that time to go and walk and cook the rest of the time, before I even had non-negotiables or things to do, and that had a bigger impact on them. So I would say on that, like, you probably don't need to train as much as what you think you do in your head. And the second part to that is, do you actually need to go to the gym at all? Do you have access to any sort of resistance in the house, in the sense that, like, you literally fill a backpack with weight and do reverse lunges, bent over rows, overhead presses? You can do those things. And if it's a case where you don't actually want to do that full stop, then that's okay for a lot of people. You don't actually, if lockdown showed us anything, we can still get in great shape without actually having access to a gym. Albeit every single one of us on this call very much loves the gym, but I'm sure probably could cope without it. Like, we've got so much other things that we can do for activity and exercise that is not something that would be needed, albeit I am going to go back and say it is something I do value on that. So
we're all wearing wearables, so in one way, shape or form, we're all kind of we can get something from our wearables, whether it be a Fitbit or an Apple Watch. Like, they offer like even casting up of exercises and stuff like that, even if you don't want to go to gym.
Yep.
Like, you can do a yoga class or a HIIT class, whatever it is, at home.
Yep, I agreed.
On a YouTube video, it doesn't necessarily even need to be wearable.
Yeah.
You can join a sports club of some sort. Like, there's so many different options. It doesn't have to be the gym.
Well, a controversial opinion and point that I'm going to bring up that actually probably proves the point is, I am sure we all go to different gyms, but I'm pretty sure that we've all been to gyms where you've seen somebody who was there 2 years ago who goes to the gym fairly frequently and who looks worse than what they did 2 or 3 years ago. And it proves the point that the gym is not the silver bullet that a lot of people think it is. Like, I worked in a gym 10 years ago and I went back, and the same people are there doing exactly the same thing, and they're not getting any better. They're getting worse because they're putting too much value on it. They don't actually know how to use their time effectively in the gym. So a lot of time, again, as I said, and I'll repeat, you don't probably need to go to the gym as much as what you think you need to go to the gym. And ultimately, there is a question to go, well, do you need to go? And yeah, I would probably... The only other thing I would add to all of this, and the last and final point, is personal trainers are there, and I'm not touting for business. I'm not a personal trainer anymore. And to be fair, if you're listening to this, you're already probably paying me or Shannon anyway, so I'm not really looking for business. But personal trainers are there. I actually coach people who have personal trainers who are not me, who literally, again, they want a response in the gym, in the sense that, like, there is a specific that they want from the gym and they're comfortable paying the personal trainer. That's your prerogative. But I think with that, it's like, you can ask somebody in the gym and you can pay them for their time to help you with things. What I would say on that is, okay, signs of... I'll ask you guys before I start going into it. If you were to pick a personal trainer, what would you be looking for from them? AJ, I'm going to start at the bottom with you. It's just the order I can see people.
All right. What would I want from a personal trainer?
If you were to pick a personal trainer in the gym, what type of things would you be looking out for?
For me, they'd need to be like, I look for someone who's approachable so that I could go to them and talk to them, and if there's an issue with the program, or if I did something that it's someone who hasn't got a set in stone copy and paste program. That would be my thing to be looking for. Someone that would adapt around you, someone that can take you through your session and adapt it as needed, if needed. Look, I mean, I've issues with my elbow at the minute, I've issues with my shoulder. It's not stopping us doing anything, but if I said to you, look, Kyle, I can't do that because of this, you'd adapt the program. That's the sort of stuff I'd be looking from a personal trainer.
Does anybody else have... Well, actually, I'll just go in order. Quilon, is there anything else you would add to that?
No, I think you kind of have to pinpoint the one that isn't a copy and paste job of the guy next to you as well, with their qualifications. Because you always get flooded with, oh, I've got X, Y, and Z level 5 FETAC of strength and conditioning, and I've done this, that, and the other, and you're kind of sitting there going, yeah, okay, but is that really what I want to do? And are they going to listen to me? Like, or are they just going to spout absolute nonsense at you and rubbish? So I think kind of watching their qualifications and seeing who's that little bit different, who has a little bit higher, who's a little bit more knowledgeable, but at the same time, as AJ said, you want somebody that's going to listen to you.
You know what? I actually love that, because I have worked with some of the most qualified people, and they know everything, but are honestly some of the worst coaches that I've ever seen. They can't communicate. They can't take criticism. It doesn't... And actually, a lot of studies and the science, like, it doesn't actually translate to, like, real life. There is obviously things that are repeatable, but with that, like, there are a lot of things that people read in a textbook that doesn't translate to me, you, or anyone else. So, yeah, I would agree on that. Shannon, would you add anything?
Yeah, like, I would agree with the guys as well. Like, not a copy and paste kind of job. You don't want to, like, if it's your first time ever going to a gym, you no more want to have a PT that is going to train you as if you're a bodybuilder, because that mightn't be your actual goal. And then, you know, like I've seen it myself where you had PTs in the gym and like it's their first class with the client or session, and they're right, we're going to barbell squat, and they're like, what? Like, what's that? Like, you don't need a PT that's doing that to you. Like, start off, if it's your first ever time, that's a red flag. They're trying to get you to fucking start deadlifting a barbell squat, and they should be starting with the very basics with you and getting you used to kind of form and tempo and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely bodybuilder coaches training just the average.
First time Kyle did with me when I walked into the shack for personal training, was made me sit in a box. Like that was literally the first movement Kyle made me do, was assessment movement patterns before I got anywhere near a bar. Like that sort of stuff is so important. Like,
and just a sneering coach as well. I'm just probably dragging people down now by saying that, but I've seen some PTs and they're not nice, and you can hear them slagging off other people in the gym. And I just think, red flag, run for the miles. If your coach is standing beside you, slagging off someone else in the gym for what they're doing, that's a red flag. Go away.
I think if there's ever a red flag, that's a red flag.
I do have another one. It's
go for it.
They're watching when PTs are watching each other, and you're guaranteed to see the next, like the PT that's right beside you, copying exactly what you've just done in like 2 seconds earlier. It's like gym bros and they're fecking pull-ups, and they see a girl doing a pull-up. It's like, oh, I'm going to do a pull-up now right beside you. The trainers do it, or not trainers. Yeah, trainers do the exact same thing.
I would agree. I'm not going to lie. I feel sorry for a few of the first clients I ever had. The first one I ever had was, his name was Wee John. Just his actual birth name was Wee John. Just no, it's just John. But yeah, Wee John.
He was wee.
I got him. I was just learning about things, and again, college, they were talking to us about squats and deadlifts and everything else. I barely knew how to do it myself, but John at 56 years old was then squatting and deadlifting, and that was just what we done. And to be fair, he would have ran through a brick wall, but I used to get him to do that thing where it was like before prowlers were a thing. I got him to go on the treadmill, and without it moving, got him to use his legs to get the band moving and doing 30-second sprints and stuff.
that's crazy.
Funny story about John, he actually took a heart attack. My first client took a heart attack.
While he was with you, I presume, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'd done his first consultation, and we'd done some fitness assessment stuff that I got told to do in college. My head lecturer came to us the day after and literally said to me, he's like, look, John took a heart attack yesterday. It was nothing that you done. Like, I mean, my PT career could have gone very, very differently, considering the first client in the first session I ever had, somebody took a heart attack after it. But Wee John actually stayed with me for 2 years after it became a paying client, and I actually have my first ever testimonial as a printout. My mum's got it framed somewhere. So I was going to say,
cute.
But I did, to be fair, I used to train everybody like the way I was training. And that, to be fair, took 3 or 4 years to stop doing that. And I do think you're going to get that. Like, I am going to touch on this. I know I'm going down a very convoluted path when I'm saying this. The PT courses that you get are pretty shit, and you don't learn a lot from them that's transferable. Like, I done 4 years at college and 2 years at uni and still knew absolutely fucking nothing, really, at the end of it. My experience comes from coaching people. The only thing it taught me how to do is be critical thinking, in the sense that, like, I could, when it came to fads and stuff, I knew what worked and what didn't work a lot quicker than anything else I could think for myself. But I think a lot of time when you do have PTs in the gym, like, you'll see them and they will try and coach people the way that everybody else is coaching because they don't know any better. But the price, in my opinion, should reflect that. So, like, it should be cheaper for you. But if somebody's coming in and try to charge, I don't even know what the going rate for a PT is, but let's say it's 50 quid a session or whatever it is, and they're literally just going, the worst one I used to hear is there was a gym that you booked in for a PT session, they're like, oh, what do you want to do today? I'm like, the worst question.
Red flag.
Yeah, I was going to say red flag. Don't ever, like, ask. That's like a driving instructor. Like, I'm still doing driving lessons at the age of 32, but that's like my driving instructor going, oh, where do you want to go today? Like, what do you want to do today? I'm like, don't know, fucking drive me. That's what I want to do. Like, it shouldn't be, to an extent, like, your goal should be out, and Do you know what? I'm not even going down that path. I'll be down there all day. Right. I think PTs are there. With a PT, it's important you pick the right PT, and by that, what I mean is like you're only looking out for qualifications. Don't really matter. Some of the most qualified people are some of the worst coaches. I would say it's important people are qualified. I'm probably even going to go as far to say I've seen some unqualified people who've had years' experience in the gym who are far better than qualified people. But I think with that, look at them. Like as in like most of them will be training in the gym that you're in. How do they train? Do they train? What are they like when it comes to people? Like, are they still saying hi to people? Like in a PT session, are they saying hi to you? Or are they completely ignoring you? Like, they should obviously be working with the person beside them, but at the same time, are they still being friendly? Are they still interacting with other people? Even conversations, like you can usually overhear a conversation. Like, are they interested in the person that they're coaching, or are they just talking about like, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I've got another 6 sessions to go. Oh, I'm having chicken and rice for my dinner. Or we need to train you how to eat properly. Or we need to I mean, I've had some conversations. You shouldn't drink water when you're drinking alcohol because it makes you more drunk. I'm like, sound advice. So yeah, all of that. But I think we've touched on 45 minutes at this point in terms of talking about anxiety. Does anybody else have anything to add before we wrap this up?
Just going back to finding the right gym, it's not just about going in at peak times, off peak times as well. I would advise, and I have advised people to take a look at what's around the gym as well. The reason I say something like that is, and you'll notice as well, if there's a gym and it's beside 4 different schools, chances are that place is going to be flooded from 4 o'clock with kids everywhere training. You know, if it's a commercial gym or a cheap gym, monthly fees or whatever, you know, take a look what's around. Is it in the middle of 4 different office places? Because then, you know, between 5 and 7, half 6 and 8, it's just going to be a no-go in my eyes. So always just look at what's around the gym, not just the gym itself.
I think that's important. There's a perspective I'm going to give you, albeit like I had a gym, I don't have one anymore, so it tells you how it went. But I think there was important things that we looked at in that. And when we were doing our research as to what we wanted to do to get to gym, I was like, we on purposely had a higher price point than most gyms because we actively didn't want to encourage like younger students or people who weren't serious about the style of training. It was a very style specific gym that we had in terms of lifting weights and resistance training. I was like, we want the people who are on board to be committed alongside that. So a lot of the time it's like they've just viewed gyms as gyms, PTs as PTs. Like there is a very drastic difference between things. And I'm not saying that price often always correlates to that, but I think sometimes don't let the price put you off. It's always about value, providing it's within your budget. But sometimes like paying an extra 20 quid a month is well worth the hassle of having less anxiety of it being chock-a-block with kids, students, not being able to get on a machine, the peak times being like your nightclub on a Saturday night. It's just, I certainly would look at those things rather than just the optics of things. Anybody else have anything to add?
I think it was a good conversation.
Thanks, Shannon. If it's got your approval, then it's a good conversation. Get the big stamp out. There we go. For MD who is local, and I say local if you're living in Dundalk or there or thereabouts, we do a run club.
Surrounding areas.
To be fair, if you've been listening this long, you're obviously somewhat interested in what we've got to say. So, Shannon, you do Shannon's Run Club. It's Biofitness Run Club, but Shannon organises it. Shannon, tell us about the Run Club. When is it? Where is it? What's happening?
It is every Saturday morning, and we meet at Custom Coffee down by the Lisdo. And yeah, it's a run, walk, jog, whatever the hell you want to do. It's just to encourage people to get out and about, especially now coming into the darker months. It's a bit harder to get out and about to do a bit of exercise of any sort. So the run club is just there to encourage everyone who wants to start running, who just wants to get out to get their steps, walk the dogs, make some friends, grab some coffees and treats afterwards. It's all about friendship for me.
Protein balls. Protein balls.
Yeah, I might start bakery from the run club and start selling then in March afterwards. We'll see. They're going good at the moment.
What one are you making this week?
It's a surprise. I'm not doing M&Ms again. I'm sorry. I know the request is there.
Fuck you.
I might do something nicer.
There was two.
We'll have to see. These are my tasters.
there was two vital details left out there that you hadn't seen. That Shannon actually makes protein balls for people to consume. That wasn't just AJ's Tourette's going protein balls, protein balls, protein. I know he's died.
To thank everyone for coming.
But Shannon, I also think you left out the time as to what time people meet at Custom
Oh
Coffee.
yeah, at the moment we are meeting at 8:30 and the run is starting at 8:45. But obviously with the darker months coming ahead, we'll probably be moving that forward. But if anyone's interested, you can always just send me a message and I'll add you into the week group chat. And yeah, it's just super fun.
For anyone who's listening to this and might want to come this Saturday, what time's it on this Saturday?
It is on. We're meeting at 8:30 this Saturday.
And where is it again, just for one last time?
Custom Coffee. Liz do. Everyone else does be on time. I always be late.
Cool. And AJ, can I get one more protein balls before we leave?
Protein balls.
Class. Right. Cheers for coming. Speak to you later.